Good morning again. I'm Stefan Berensky. I'm the chief editor of the Maiaspace magazine, and I've been covering space for 3 decades now. And well, don't start me on mini launchers, please, because 30 years ago I was working for a famous consultant agency in Europe. The name is in it, regarding small launchers. Because it was a time when there were things called constellations, Iridium, Global Star. And so, we all need to have small launchers for small satellites. We reviewed dozens and dozens of projects, and only one of them made it. It was Eurocot, and only because ESA had the right payload to put on it. So, well, when I saw constellations coming back, and many launchers coming back, was quite skeptical, let's say, well. And now is the time when things seems to become serious because, and it was not a pun to a consultant that is not there, things are becoming serious because we start talking about money for them. So it's the objective of this roundtable. And to discuss the current situation in Europe, at least, we have a wonderful panel. We could have done it in Spanish, actually. We will do it in bad English, sorry. So I'm really happy to have next to me Lucia LINARES. And since I don't have the right pedigree, what is your current position?
Good afternoon, everybody. So I'm Lucia LINARES. I head strategy and institutional launches at the Directorate of Space Transportation in ESA. I'm replacing today Tony, the Director of Space Transportation.
Thank you. We have Miguel MORA, Chairman of the Board at Orbex, which is quite strange to have a Spaniard for a Scottish company that was born in Denmark. Well, okay. We have Raúl VERDÚ, co-founder and chief business development officer at PLD Space. And we are lucky because it's not what was written here, but we have Yohann, who is the CEO of Maiaspace. Well, so there is this big issue we are not allowed to talk about, but we will try to tap dance around. The European Launcher Challenge has begun. So please tell us what is going on.
Yes, thank you. So first, maybe to say you were introducing the panel saying that money is starting to come in the round. But before the European Launcher Challenge, we had the Boost program at ESA. And this was a program that was started in 2019 because indeed we were starting to see there was an appetite from companies in Europe to develop on their own right launch services, and this was a good thing. And we wanted to have also fostering private investment. So I have to say this was the beginning, Boost. The Boost program is ongoing. We have committed more than 165 million on Boost 1 to co-fund viable companies in the launch service space transportation business. Now with the European Launcher Challenge, we are tuning up in Europe. This was a decision that was taken in Sevilla in November, again, in Spain. And what is the European Launcher Challenge? The European Launcher Challenge is a competition among European launch services on the basis of technical maturity, commercial viability, also how these companies, with their proposals, can respond to European institutional needs. We want to foster diversity in the market of European launch services in Europe. We've had a model for the last 45 years. It was a successful one, but things are changing. We want to accompany this change. We are in a full transition. We cannot talk about this in full, but I'm allowed to answer some questions because the evaluation in ESA is now ongoing. It's been ongoing since the submission took place of all the bids that we received, and therefore I cannot reveal anything linked to these proceedings. Otherwise, I will answer any question.
Even the number of answers?
we've had a lot of interest coming, and we are happy to see that the companies that we had seen, that we know, have made their bids. I will not go into how many exactly, but there's been a lot of interest.
Oh, thank you. Miguel, well, I've been following Orbex for a while, and it's been quite difficult because you are not really talkative. You're one of the most discreet of the projects in Europe. So please enlighten us with what is going on right now with Orbex and the Prime Launcher.
Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you for La Tribune for inviting me to this event. Stefan, that's good that you make me this question because we have been a little bit silent. We are very well advanced in the development. If we do a quick check, all our avionics is finished and ready. Computer are already designed, manufactured, and waiting for launch. All the communication system is ready, antenna ground segment is placed. The guided navigation and control is finished. We did the hardware in the loop, which is the last test before flight. Structure, we did big improvement. There are two technologies which are key technology. One is coaxial tanking. We have a patent, and we do a full-scale, full test, successfully demonstrated that coaxial tanking is going to work. And we have also a big pressure within carbon fiber, a big pressure vessel with 900 bar and cryogenic. This is not a normal technology. We tested it. Then structure is also well in place. The only place that we need further work is propulsion at the testing level. We want to qualify the engine. We have 2 engines for the first and second stage. We are now running, we're going to run more than 100 hot fires to full qualify the engines, but we hope that maybe some optimization design coming up to the test, but this is where we are now heavily working. And the other thing that we were doing was the spaceport. The spaceport in Sutherland, our own spaceport, has been stopped, has been paused, because we want to concentrate into the launcher. It's not because we do not want to abandon Sutherland. We're going to go to Saxaford, but it's a maximum number of launches. We can do 10. In our business plan, we want to do more than 10. We will resume Sutherland as far as we reach the limit of launches that we can do there. In summary, all subsystems are ready. We need to work basically in propulsion testing and setting up the Saxaford spaceport, which is nearly done. We expect to launch early next year.
Early next year. Mark it in my calendar. Raúl, you're actually the only one on this panel to have launched anything.
Yes.
Quite crudely. Well, it was 20 months ago. So what has been done since?
Yes, so in 2 years we developed an orbital class vehicle. So, and we multiply by 10 our workshop capabilities. Now we have a factory that we are capable to deliver 6 MORA 5 per year. With reusability, we can achieve a cadence of 12 launcher per year. And now we are purchasing the land for our large facility to manufacture MORA Next. So as you know, PLD Space is the pioneer. In Europe, we were the first one to create a company, to test an engine, to test a system-level booster technologies. We launched MORA 1 as a booster demonstration and re-entry demonstration. We were the first one to propose a reusable rocket in Europe. And we will be the first one to launch something into orbit because our approach to enter into the market is super conservative. We don't want to invent and to have patents. We want just to be reliable and fully commercial vision there. So today we are by far the largest infrastructure from the private sector to test an engine. We develop an engine of 190 kilonewtons. That it's a lot from the private sector. We have just 5 clusters because everything is prepared to develop MORA Next. Because today our engineering workforce is focused in MORA Next because MORA 5 is done. We are completing the acceptance and qualification testing of all those systems to have the first unit ready in December. Also very good news here in France. So we will start the construction of our launch pad in Kourou. That is the real European spaceport. So with a lot of heritage, we want to be, let me say, you know, I hate the new and old space, so we are competitive. So so that's our point today. So super happy.
Well, with the MORA Next, we are going beyond the mini launcher topic.
True.
Yeah.
Yes. You know, Science Foundation. So we want a launch service provider, starting small, like engines, MORA 1, MORA 5, because we don't want to put you know, a technological challenge in front of us that we are not capable to complete. We saw so many failures, like in Europe, FAA, ISAR Aerospace, in US, Firefly, Relativity, ABL, Vector, Virgin Orbit. There are so many that they put the rocket on the pad and they fail. And we were the unique that we put a rocket on the pad and we launched successfully and we followed the trajectory. And we are repeating that successful history with Mira One. This is our methodology that is completely ready to offer commercial launch opportunity and for sure institutional let me say service procurement if our institution they want to use our launch vehicles. There is a lot of work to be done for sure. So it's we are starting. No, I love to say that we were 15 years starting, and I saw so many others like underestimating how hard it is to put everything together and follow the trajectory. And I think we are the most, let me say, promising player at global level today.
Well, Yohann, with Maiaspace, you are quite a unique player in the field because you're the only one to be 100% owned by, let's say, a large company, a much larger player in the field, Ariane Group. How do you make sure that you are not hidden in their shadow?
So we are forced to work differently from Ariane Group. So it's true that we are a 100% subsidiary of Ariane Group, but we operate in an autonomous manner. It's not by choice, it's a necessity because we have very ambitious objectives, as you probably know, because we want to divide by 2 the development time compared to what we have seen in Europe for rocket development, but also elsewhere in the world. And we want to divide the costs by a factor of 3. Compared to standards. We cannot reach those objectives if we do not change fundamentally our way of working. So we are different, fundamentally different in our way of working from Ariane Group, but we are also different from the other players for a certain number of reasons. The first one is that we are convinced that to go fast and to reduce costs, we need to be pragmatic and in particular not to reinvent the wheel, not to start everything from a blank page. And as an example, we have made the strategic choice to buy engines from Ariane Group, and it is the Prometheus engine that has been developed by Ariane Group in the frame of a contract with ESA. By the way, this is a contract that started much earlier than the company creation, because we quickly reached the conclusion that if we launched ourselves the development of a rocket engine of the size of the Prometheus engine, then there would be no chance that we reach the launch pad in a matter of 5 years, by end of 2026, as is our objective. And the second difference comes is linked to your introduction. We are convinced, we are very skeptical, as you are, with the business model of micro launchers, because we are in an industry where scale matters. What matters in the end for a customer is the price it will pay, and in particular the price it will pay for the size, for the mass of the satellite it will have to launch. And we are in an industry where when you divide the performance of your launcher by a factor of 2, you do not divide the cost by a factor of 2, meaning that you structurally increase the cost per kilogram, and so the price per kilogram at which you can launch your service. So if you want to have a chance to be competitive in that market, you need to reach at least a certain launch mass capability to be able to compete with heavy launchers, with whom micro launchers will compete at least for a part, and a significant part of the market. So what differentiates us from most of the other players is that the first version of our rocket already will already have a capability of up to 4 tons in inclined orbit, which is still much smaller than what Ariane 6 can do, but which is significantly higher than what most of the others will propose, at least for the first version of their launcher.
Maybe just one point, because it comes back also in the interventions of my colleagues, launch service providers, and it was in your question on mini launchers. I come back on the European Launcher Challenge to say that with Boost, we saw that all the companies, of course, are starting small, and it's normal, but they have an ambition to grow and to go into higher performance. And this is a good thing from the institutional perspective, because, as I was saying, we want perspective, we want diversity, we want diversification of services, and hence the European Launcher Challenge is a bit about procuring, of course, services for missions of ESA, but it's also a lot about procuring services for demonstrated upgrading capacities. So initial capacity is out of the scope of the European Launcher Challenge. The companies will have to demonstrate that as either a condition to place a contract for a launch service or as a go, no-go criteria for a capacity demonstration. But please keep in mind, we've learned that from the Boost experience. There is an appetite, and we as institutions want these companies to grow in performance, upgrade their capacities. This is a lot, the European Launcher Challenge. Thank you.
Well, one of the heavy criticisms I got many times for European small launchers, it's that they were not European. Let's say PLD is presented as Spanish, Maya is presented as French, although it's French-German in some ways. Well, you are the strange one because you're presented as British or Scottish, while I think you have Danish and German roots as well. So maybe you're the only one that, well, we have plenty of German launchers, and some of them are even not German, but Bavarian. So is the European Launcher Challenge a chance to Europeanize, well, broaden the footprint of each one, let's say?
What I can say is that most of them are already having a footprint in several countries. Certainly the mark of the service level is very national, and it's normal. So first thing as an answer is that the footprint is spread European for most of these candidates. And second is I am intimately convinced that as they grow higher in performance, in ambition, there will be a need to further Europeanize. But I think they can talk for their own examples. But of these two, I think they're valid points that have to be stressed.
Well, what you said is right. Orbex was born in Denmark. The founder are Danish. We moved then to UK before Brexit happened, but there is all the propulsion is done in Denmark, in Copenhagen. All the testing is in Copenhagen. But there is an important shareholder. One of the largest shareholders is Spanish, is Deimos, which is now Indra. They do all the guidance, navigation, and control. But we have subcontractor in Portugal, in France, in Germany. But for the ELC, we have increased our European side. Then we have organized industry days for our proposal in Czech Republic, in Belgium, in Switzerland, in many countries, so that we have sent dozens of RFPs to get a supply chain competitive. And then we have now, I think, 10 countries. We have just UK as headquartered, but Denmark, Portugal, Spain, France, Germany, all those countries, which make a full pan-European project.
Yes, our vision at that point is that, let me say, discussion, it's not adding that much value because our proposal, it's pure commercial. For sure, I am Spaniard, I am from Elche, first division football club there. Super proud of that, but that's all, you know. So we are following a P&L. Our footprint in Europe is maximum, so we have more than, in our employees, more than 20 different nationalities. We purchase raw materials, components in Germany, UK, unfortunately also importing components from US because there is no alternative in Europe at competition level. So if we can purchase something in Elche, I am not going to Madrid. If I can purchase in Madrid, I am not moving to outside Spain, and same is Europe, you know. But unfortunately, how we see that business is fully global business. So even not thinking as a, let me say, as a Spanish company, in my opinion, has nonsense at all for PLD space. Also being European has nonsense because the global leaders in the launcher industry are global operators. So this is why we have a pure spaceport in Europe for our institutional and commercial customers in Europe, in Kourou. And we also open in Middle East another opportunity for our Asia Pacific and Middle East customers. And we are now working in a third one. Because we want to be a very global company with control of, let me say, European or national of our shareholders that are private, most of them. And for me, it's being a Spaniard, it's very proud because Carlos Alcaraz wants the tennis, but that's all. So we need to be profitable. That's the good question.
Just to complete the answer, so we are a French company, no doubt about that, but the Maia project is a European project, as Lucia rightly says, and just to be a bit more precise, it's 40% of the added value of our launch service that will be generated from Europe, but outside of France. And maybe what is interesting to note is how we reached that result. We reached that result not because somebody told us that we should find our partners in Germany, in Italy, in Spain, because there is a German, Italian, or Spanish money that is available to fund our development. We fund our development with private money. And we select our partners based on their competitiveness, not based on the public money that is available. In the end, we reach a footprint that is not that different from the footprint of Ariane, but through a very different manner, a manner that is much more prone, in my view, to allow us to be competitive, because we select our partners based on their competitiveness, and we are free to change if that changes.
Well, there is a specific to Maia. Maia will have a first stage that will be reusable, propelled by Prometheus engine. There is a demonstrator of an ESA program with an EC funding to fly a reusable demonstrator powered by a Prometheus engine. It seems, well, quite strange from the outside. Who is doing what and what is not what, if you see what I mean, because, well, your first stage is not Themis.
Certainly not. No. Oh, it is another illustration of what I was saying when I said that our intention is not to reinvent the wheel. Our idea is to use the expertise that exists in Europe, and in vast majority of the time, because there has been some support provided by ESA, not yesterday or last year, but over the past decades, that allow various companies in Europe to master technologies that are key for the future. We want our launcher to be reusable because we believe this is a necessary condition for the business plan to be viable. I could elaborate on this if necessary. But if we are doing this, sorry, I forgot what I was about to say. Sorry. Can you just repeat your question? I was
well, no, I wanted to make sure for everyone that you're not flying on Themis.
Yes, and so the first stage is different from Themis. The idea is simply that we use the expertise that exists in Europe, and the fact is that through Themis there are various partners in Europe that have worked on the development of a landing leg, that have worked on the development of a flight control bay, and who master the various blocks, technological blocks that are necessary to recover a first stage vertically on a barge. And so the idea is simply, rather than to reinvent the wheel, once again, to turn to that players. And so to answer specifically to your question, who does what in Themis? Themis is led by Ariane Group. It is a contract signed between Ariane Group and ESA, and that involves a consortium of partners we are not part of. As far as we are concerned, we can knock at the door of those various partners and discuss with them about landing legs to recover a first stage, about a flight control bay, and so on and so forth.
Maybe I'll complement also on the side of who does what beyond the Ariane Group and Ariane Group partners. So actually, Prometheus and Themis are part of a program at ESA called the Future Launchers Preparatory Program. These activities started with decisions at the Ministerial Council in 2019. And then we started an initial development phase with Ariane Group. When I say we, there was a contract between ESA and Ariane Group. And there is funding from the European Commission, indeed, under the SALTO, Horizon Europe program. And the SALTO part is to fund the vertical landing, SALTO, hop tests in Kiruna. And this inscribes itself in complementarity with these activities because it was discussed at length between us, European Space Agency, and the Commission within a huge, bigger frame that is program activities at ESA, which cover the development. And actually, we just signed in November last year riders to the contract with Ariane Group to go beyond in terms of tests, Prometheus, methane, but also trying other propellants, the test bench in Vernon. So you see it's a much wider frame that is at ESA, and then the Commission funded some almost 40 million for those tests.
Well, thank you. Orbex and PLD, you have in common to have, let's say Prime and Euro 5, which are small launchers, but you have also projects for bigger launchers, Proxima and Muranex. Does it mean that you want to grow your line with parallel families, or you want to grow your business to bigger payloads?
We want to do it in parallel. I mean, we don't want to do what SpaceX did. SpaceX stopped Falcon 1 and moved all to Falcon 9. We believe in the market of micro launchers. Micro launcher can never compete in price per kilo. Micro launcher are a taxi for particular missions. ESA has many missions which are not normal missions. They will never find piggyback. Draco is a re-entry mission. LEO PNT is a mission of any orbit. NEOMAG is study of magnetosphere. All those small sats, they can never go with the SpaceX or with a big one because this is not a normal orbit. And we believe in this market, but this market is limited. We want to be a global launcher service provider. That's why we move to Proxima, which our target is to cover the Soyuz gap. Soyuz was successfully launched from Kourou for many missions, for Galileo mission, for science mission. Then this is a gap in the market, but also in the States. If you look to the state launchers, there is a lot of small one, there's a lot of big one, but there's nothing in between. Then we target to the 8 ton, which is, we believe there is a gap, and we understand that there is room for several players. There will be in the big size, Ariane 6, and on the medium size is where we target, because we want to be global, but we will not abandon Prime, which is the small one, because we believe in this market. Only it is limited, is the only question.
Raúl?
Any orbit, any payload, any time. So I
heard that 20 years ago from Maiaspace.
Yes, true. So that's the commercial claim that we love. So because it's to develop a family, like as you know, Ariane Group, they have like Vega, Soyuz in the past, Ariane, Maya at some point. So I think to complete the family of launcher has a lot of sense, and we want to, let me say, to do the same. As I will say, I learn a lot from the people with heritage. I think we improve some things because we are offering something completely different. So that's our value proposition today. It's to develop a family of vehicles. Our idea is to develop let me say, a 13 tons 2SSO performance vehicle. It's our Muranex to be capable to put in clusters. So the idea is to develop a booster that we are capable to manufacture in real serial production to scale up the amount of units in terms of engines, avionics, components and equipment, structures, everything. And if you have a super small mission like Miguel was mentioning, you have MORA 5. If you need to launch something mid-range and also to launch several satellites, you have MORA next, and also a heavy version of those vehicles to launch whatever you need. So that's our idea. It's like let me say, inspired in what the SpaceX made with the Falcon family rocket. Also, we are thinking about to since the beginning to put all the requirements to be a manned vehicle, not just because of the market to launch astronaut, blah blah, that there will be market or not, we will see. It's because of reliability. because for us, reliability it will be the key. So we are talking about money, time, but for me, it's reliability time, because you can have a lot of money, but if you are not capable to follow the trajectory, it will be impossible to survive, because competition is hard. So I respect a lot what my friends they are developing today. We were, let me say, the first one to do it. Not necessary being the first one. It's something good, because as pioneers, I remember my first visit to CSG back in 2018. It was impossible to put a launch pad there, and we are close to do it. So proud to be pioneers, but now it's time to deliver, because the champion, it will be not selected by the institutions. It will be selected by the market. So we will see who will be the winner, and we are putting all of our effort, and I am investing my full life to deliver something good for my company and for Europe.
Well, maybe just two additional comments on the on what the colleagues have said. So I agree with Miguel on the fact that the market for micro launcher exists. There are a lot of people who are interested in the taxi, but provided the taxi can be at the price of the bus.
Yeah.
And this is all the challenge that we face. It's a bit different from the situation we all know when we have a trade-off to make. Shall I take a taxi or the bus? In our business, the taxi for a satellite operator potentially costs several times the cost of the satellite itself, meaning that the trade-off is not really a real one in most cases. And so if you want to be able or to succeed in launching your taxi, you have to make them at a price that is close, if not equivalent, to the price of the bus. And the second comment is on the scale, working on a more powerful launcher. So this is what I have said already. We are in a business where scale matters. We need also to keep in mind the size of the upgrade that is necessary. As far as we are concerned, I said the launcher will be, the Maya launcher will reach 4 tons in inclined orbit, so we are talking of a launcher that will have between 1/5 and 1/10 the performance of a heavy launcher of the class of Ariane 6 or Falcon 9. This is a huge step. This is one order of magnitude in terms of performance if we want at some point to make a heavy launcher. But when you look at a micro launcher, the step is not one order of magnitude, it's more 2 orders of magnitude. When you can launch a couple of 100 kilograms and you want to be able to target the same size, the same performance as an Ariane 6, it's not a multiplication by 10 that you need to achieve, it's a multiplication by 100. And so the challenge, I'm not saying that the challenge is impossible to reach, but it's obviously a much bigger step.
Raúl, you have 30 seconds.
Yes, no, it's enough. I fully disagree with that figures, because our cost breakdown today has no sense at all. So we are delivering a rocket that the cost breakdown of manufacturing and operations has no precedence in Europe. So with MORA 5, we are not capable to compete with the ride-share transportation price, but almost. And imagine if we use that cost breakdown at that technology for a larger rocket. So our cost breakdown, because of so many technologies and our procedures, it will be impossible to compete with us in price.
Well, prepare to starve, because the time is finished, but I'm not finished. I still have one question. When Joseph Aschbacher presented the ELC, he said that the idea was to invest to attract private investors. But one thing I know in the space business is that you have Yohann, you were in Eutelsat, you make a large margin when you're an operator, we make a small margin when you are a satellite manufacturer, and you make almost no margin, or negative one, when you are a launcher provider. How can you attract private investors in these conditions?
Before the ones that are attracting the private investors talk about this, because they're best placed, I want to say that in Boost we've seen this happening already. And with the first contracts, also from the institutional side, we saw an increase in these investments. But also, and Joseph Aschbacher said it, in the ELC there's a clear requirement that is 40% private investment. It's not going to be fully funded by ESA, and there's going to be these checks done along the way in the milestones. And so this is clearly the way we're seeing, and I want to think things are changing also in Europe, not to the extent as they are changed in the other side of the Atlantic, but they are changing.
We fully agree. The ELC is an important step to help private funding, because ELC has two parts. One is grants for development, but also contracts. And this is to have the institution as anchor customer. This is key with that. What you said about the space, we are living the Starlink syndrome. Starlink is affecting all the operators, affecting even the geo, but this is temporary. We are fully optimistic. We have a big momentum in space because of the defense and strategy in Europe. We wake up in Europe, there is all the recovery funds. I mean, there is a unique momentum of space, then we're quite optimistic, and we firmly believe that the profit will come again soon.
I think it's easy because in Europe we have so many examples like of companies like us that we fundraise a lot of private money, but you need to show the profit and the contracts. So that's the key. And this is why we are targeting, let me say, you know, like high reliability, very, very, very competitive cost breakdown to produce, because for me it's not a technology business. So ESA invent the rockets in Europe, so this is not our role. We develop a solution that is super, you know, I love to say that we are space plumbers, you know, like with a lot of product assurance, but we are space plumbers. We are manufacturing like super sophisticated tubes, and we need to manufacture super cheap and reliable tubes. Of course, we are not elevate the state of the art of the rocket, because this is the role of the programs of ESA. For example, our reusability technologies are being developed inside an ESA program, and we are super proud. We are learning a lot about heat shields and things like that. So for us, let me say it's our normal work. So I found the company before ELC opportunity. So my vision is just to develop fully privately funded, and I am waiting for the contract that Miguel said that for me, this is the key. So ESA can invest in PLD space, or we can win a R&D development contract of thousands of millions, that if there is no commercial contract behind, there will be not appetite from private investors.
Yohann, if you have a final word, because I know you have a minister to meet.
Yeah, but just a couple of comments on this. So our industry is an industry with long investment cycles. I'm convinced that if you take realistic assumptions, it will take you at least 10 years before a heavy launcher can turn profitable. A small launcher has additional challenges, which makes the time horizon potentially even longer than this, while venture capitalists have a much shorter view and are looking for return on their investment in a much shorter time frame. So you need to solve this kind of paradox if you want to attract venture capitalists at your capital. One way to solve this paradox is to take into account the fact that venture capitalist is not that much interested in the money you will make in 10 years or in 15 years. It is interested in the prospect it has to sell its shares at a higher value than the value at which it entered at your capital. The problem this raises, if we are not careful with this, is that it forces then the management of the companies to work in a direction that is not optimal to ensure the long-term competitiveness. And so as far as we are concerned, we have no venture capitalist today at our capital. We should never say never, but we have the benefit of having a player who knows what it takes to develop such a project, and who is not asking for return on investment over a couple of years. The second comment I wanted to make is on the storytelling to convince investors. The most obvious one is to say that the rocket that we develop is capable of growing quickly, and maybe we will not make a lot of money with our micro launcher or with our mini launcher, but tomorrow with the heavy launcher things will be easy because we can benefit from economies of scale. This story can be heard by investors, but it must be credible. And we believe, as far as we are concerned, that this story is credible because the technologies that we intend to use can easily scale up. This is precisely why we decided to bet on the Prometheus engine that we will buy at commercial conditions. We bet on this engine because we believe Ariane Group is the best player to develop rocket engines in the world, but also because the performance of that engine is such that it will be relatively easy, quote unquote, for the Maya rocket to increase in size if the market asks for this.
Well, if you have, if no one has anything to add, that's okay. Please end, it says. Okay, so you have one tiny question.
You will quickly know.
Okay.
So I confirm ministers are going to visit us this afternoon, but I can't preempt for obvious reasons what they want to say and what I will say at this occasion.
Well, I'm really afraid we have to finish because I will be hanged, lynched, if I don't do it. So please, big applause to our speakers. Thank you very much.